So, I'm very happy to be back in London again after, I think, about 3 years. And I'm very happy to see many old friends and some people that I have not seen before. So, today I'm asked by Dirk, you can see Dirk there, He's a very naughty boy. He asked me to teach about this 7 elements for enlightenment. He says he never heard this teaching before. And I said, I'd never taught that before too. There is this 37 Bodhipaksha, which is actually supposed to be important in Buddhism. You find it in many sutras and also important classical texts. Both at the level of Sharakayana, Mahayana, and also Vajrayana. But I think in Theravada tradition, they kind of study this a lot, it seems. In Tibetan tradition, we study it in the Shedas, but it's not really very much talked about in the kind of what you can say like practice-oriented places, you know. So therefore, I think it was, I don't know how many of you have received kind of teachings on this in the Tibetan Buddhist context. Out of this 37 Bodhipaksha, 37 sometimes different translations. Bodhipaksha means like paksha is the sho, it's the side towards that leads to bodhi, leads to enlightenment, or you know. Sometimes I think it's translated as 37 factors or things like that. These are sometimes are supposed to be from, you know, from the beginning of our practice till to the, you know, completion. So, you know, when we talk about the 37 Bodhipaksha, then it's 4 mindfulness, then Yangta Papawaje, 4 ways of completely kind of abandonment, letting go. Then Zultu Chikamba Ye, 4 legs of miracles. Wangbo Nga, 5 how do you say, Wangbo? 5 Wangponga? Huh? Huh? What? No, the powers is the next. Wangbo is like, I is one. Huh? Senses. They don't call it senses. How do you call it? Huh?
Sense organs? Senses?
Not organs.
Sense consciousness.
I have here this thing, but yet there is no internet here.
No, 5 senses.
Huh? 5 senses? 5 senses. Maybe let us call it for the moment. Then tomorrow I will write down and count. And then 5 powers. These are a little bit similar, but slightly different. But anyway. And then 7. This is also different translations. This I looked up. 7 elements of enlightenment, some call it. 7 factors of awakening, some call it. 7 branches of enlightenment, some call it. These 3 different translations. And then this is mainly, first, then 8-fold path. So this altogether adds up to 37. These are 37 bodhipaksha. So now I'm not going to talk about others. I'm only talking about this 7 elements for enlightenment, 7 factors of awakening, or it's called Shangchup Jiyen La Dun. Shangchup is, enlightenment. Shangchup. Bodhi. Bodhi, I think, Bodhi is enlightenment. And Bodhi, the word Bodhi, it comes from the root verb of bodh, to know, to understand, to realize, both. That understanding or that wisdom or that's a bodhi. It's translated into Tibetan as Shang Chup. These 2 words, two syllables. Shang is to get fully kind of purified. All the negative things, all the, is fully cleared and completely purified. And chup is to get all the negative things is cleared and all the positive qualities are completely attained or absorbed. That's Shangchup. So Tibetan word, they made a new word. They didn't have that before. They made a new word for this and then called it Shangchup. Shangchup Yenla is like elements or parts or limbs, So the Sanskrit word for this is Sapta Bodhi Anga. Sapta is 7, Bodhi is, we already talked about. Anga is like the branches, or limbs, that's the Anga. Now these 7 Bodhi Anga or Saptabodhi Anga, 7 elements for enlightenment, is especially for the seeing stage, for the insight. In the path, in the Dharma path, in the Buddhist path, we talk about the 5 stages. 5 stages. The first is, accumulation stage. This also has 3 levels. Then kind of joining stage, and then seeing stage. So this is more for the seeing stage. Means like seeing stage is very important because you have the complete insight when you have the seeing stage. And when you have the complete insight, then you cross the samsaric state of being. You are no longer samsara. You have seen the truth. You have experienced the way things really are. So that's why it's called seeing stage. You have the complete insight. And it is understood that the main source or main causes of our suffering as samsaric beings, according to Buddha, the root cause is ignorance, or maybe you can call it confusion, delusion, that you don't exactly, experientially understand how things are, and how I am, what I am, and how things are. And because of that, then we react with a dualistic way of seeing. And because of that, then we have aversion and attachment, because something that is, when you have the dualistic view, then you say, I am here existing on my own, and everything is there existing on their own. That's the dualistic view. And once that way of experiencing becomes, the way we see things, we experience things, then it's necessary that something there nice I want, I must have, something there not nice I should not have, I don't want. That's why aversion, attachment too. And because of this aversion and attachment, then we have, we have anger and hatred, we have attachment and greed, and all kind of, envy, jealousy, arrogance, self-centeredness. All these problems come, and because of that, then some things, I want and I can't get it. Some things I don't want, but I get it. What I don't want to lose, I lose, and I don't want to get, and I get. All kind of problems and sufferings and pain. And this then becomes our very strong kind of addiction. So we always, are within, our mind is always kind of caught up within this samsaric state of mind. So therefore, if we can deeply, deeply see how we are, then we become free from that. And once we become free, we become peaceful, joyful, and enlightened. Because we know how things are. And so therefore we don't have to react with this, aversion and attachment and things like that. And so therefore, once that happens, when you have this seeing stage, then it's, your major, our negative state of mind is usually, kind of divided into two levels. One is what we call tongpang, things that can be finished or eradicated or eliminated when we actually see it, when we understand it, when we have insight. And then another, which are a little bit more deeper and kind of very what can you say, very subtle, deeper level, very, what you can say, maybe, habitual, too much kind of. That, even if you see, not necessarily images go away. You have to, it remains as kind of a very kind of a more habitual way. So it takes longer time. It's usually explained like this by Buddha, that if you want to wash a cloth, then you put it in water and soap, and maybe you put it in washing machine, and then you take out, and mostly it's clean. But sometimes, some places like in here or under here, or some places, it's still not very, very clean. Yeah, it's there, and so therefore you have to really, put lots of salt in the soap, and then especially work hard on them. It's like that. So these are called gampong, tongpong and gampong, things that can be eliminated or washed away or purified by seeing, by insight. And then it cannot be just purified by insight, but those has to be lots of work. Meditation has to be purified by meditation. These two, So that's why, after seeing, when you are in the seeing state, you cross the samsaric level, but still, there's still not, you are totally not enlightened. There's a lot to go. And if you look from the Bodhisattva's point of view, you have all the 10 bhumis yet to go. So therefore, that's gampong. That can only be purified through meditation. Now, this 7 limbs is for the tongpong, for the seeing stage. So this seeing stage, to get, then these 7 elements or 7 factors are very important. So something that we need to understand, we need to remember these 7 elements or 7, and if we use these all 7, it could bring, that level of our seeing stage or more directly. So, what are the seven factors or seven elements? Now, the first is Tenpa, or Sanskrit word is smriti, and that's mindfulness. Mindfulness. This is kind of same mindfulness as we talk about mindfulness. Mindfulness is very important in this, like every other meditation also, practice also, because any practice we do, any kind of practice we do, the main tool we have is mindfulness. Because say like, we have to meditate. We don't want to like get distracted. Or even we want to like work on like Four Noble Truths. Now this is very much to do with the Four Noble Truths actually. So, if we don't have mindfulness, then our mind is everywhere. We are not concentrated. We don't know what we are doing. We don't know what's happening. We don't know how I am reacting. So if we have mindfulness is explained like this in Tibetan. That there is a sense of remembering. You remember what you are doing at this moment, what is happening, and you remember what you are supposed to do. You become aware of what is going on, and you remember what to do at that time. That is mindfulness. So therefore, like if we are meditating also, this is something we all know, I think. Maybe we are using the breathing as the focus of our meditation. So we breathe in, we know we are breathing in, then we breathe out, we know that we are breathing out. And then, when we are knowing this, then we are mindful. And then we forget that I am breathing, or I am breathing in or breathing out. I am somewhere else, I am going shopping in somewhere, or doesn't matter wherever, or whatever. Then I am distracted, no? So then what I have to do, I have to bring back, I have to remind myself, no, I'm meditating. So I come back again to my breathing, and then I'm mindful again. So therefore, without mindfulness, we cannot be undistracted. We are always distracted. So to train ourselves to be undistracted and be a little bit focused, and train our mind to be somewhere, or even learn to relax. We have to be mindful, Now I'm relaxing, and then I forget, and then, I'm playing football games, something like that. So therefore, this is the mindful, the mindfulness. And this I don't need to talk too much because I think most of you know this. The second is, the Tibetan word is Chu Raptu Nambar Jepa. Chu Raptu Nambar Jepa. And the Sanskrit word is Dharma Pravichaya. Dharma Pravichaya. Dharma here is not Dharma practice Dharma. Dharma here is everything. The Dharma word, the Chu word in Tibetan or Sanskrit has many, many meanings, 10 meanings. And here it is everything. Everything that we can think about. That's Dharma, Even if things that don't exist is a Dharma, if we can think about it. That's the word. And so, now Dhamma Nambar Jepa is like understanding, discernment. Here it's translated as discernment of phenomena. Dharma is translated as phenomena. I don't know whether that is the right translation or not, but phenomena here means everything, anything, talk about anything, Dharma, this is also Dharma, this is also Dharma, or, any idea is also Dharma, any concept is also Dharma, anything that we can think about, the horn of the rabbit is also Dharma. It's not there, but it's, it's a Dharma. Everything is a Dharma. So, all this Dharma, discernment, to discern, to understand how they exist, how things exist, how I exist, how everything exists, to learn that, to try to investigate and understand. This is one of the main anga, main element of, That's why we study about, like in Madhyamika, in all different view, in Tibetan we don't call it maybe philosophy, we call it view. View means how do I see things, So how the things are, So we talk about interdependence, we talk about emptiness, we talk about impermanence. All these are discerning, how this is, how does this exist, how does anything exist, things like that, and then try to really understand that how things exist. This is the second one. When we talk about, analytical, trying to analyze how things are, so that is analyzing, analytical, discernment, looking at something. That's why, in Buddhism we discuss this a lot, Logically we try to discuss, because that time there was no scientific tools. Now you have scientific tools. So physicists can discern a lot, maybe more than logic, This I want to ask you. I've read a news saying that this year the Nobel Prize for physics was won by a scientist who proved that things didn't exist on its own. Is it true? Not true? Please have a look in Google.
They don't exist locally.
Huh?
They don't exist locally. They're non-local.
Non-local?
Non-local.
There is something like that? There was a...
Yeah, it's a quantum experiment that showed that particles can't be understood as existing locally because they're coupled. They can be shown to be coupled with other particles at great distance.
So who was it? Who got this?
I can't remember.
Anton or Eston or something, I don't remember the name, but there was a name. Anyway, that doesn't matter, but so that's the, to really try to understand how things exist. That's why we have this philosophy of emptiness and philosophy of interdependence and, selflessness and all kind of, impermanence, and all these things are because of that, to really try to understand how things exist, how I exist, how my body exists. Like I am. We talk about five pombonga. How do you pronounce it? How do you say that? Pombonga. Five skandhas, yes, 5 skandhas and things like that, and sometimes in tantras it talk about a person is have six elements. 6 elements becomes the 6 elements is like earth element, water element, fire element, air element, space element, and then the conscious element, the 6th element. So these 6 elements kind of existing in a interdependently in a harmonious way, then we alive, we exist. And they have a little bit problem, then we get sick, and when they don't work together, we die. And then these all elements go into its own place. And things like that. Everything is like that. So many different ways of thinking, but this. So therefore, sometimes in the kind of the first Buddha didn't talk about emptiness too much. He talked about selflessness. That I as a self, I as a person, it's not one. It's made of many things. It's not one thing. It's many things, and many things exist in a kind of dependently and relatively, and so therefore, there's no real one me. And then it later talks about, not only what we call it, selflessness, individual selflessness, but the Dharma selflessness means everything selflessness. Then it became emptiness, the teaching on emptiness and interdependence and things like that. So anyway, so this understanding, analysis, this is, the discernment of phenomena, That is the second element, you know. And this is a very important, major, main element. Then, third is Tsundu, Virya. That's always translated as diligence. Now, once we have some understanding, you know, some little bit of understanding or clarity, then you say, "Oh, I understood it. Yeah, I know." That doesn't give you that kind of saying stage experience. Because we can have a little bit of understanding, and then we say, "Oh yes, I understand," but we have a tendency to forget. Not forget in a sense that, you know, we don't remember anything, but we forget like, yes, that time I had some understanding. I thought I knew. I had some experience, but what was it? You know, I think some of you must have had that kind of experience. You have this, you know, you forget. It's very easy to forget. That's why once you have some idea, some understanding, little kind of insight, one needs to work on it. One needs to remind ourselves again and again. Use mindfulness, practice, you know, remind yourself, meditate. You can call it meditate if you like, you know. And that diligence can be of three things. One is that you do it again and again, you know. You remind yourself again and again. That's one, very important, again and again. Another thing is that you kind of make this as a kind of how can you say it? Make it part of our life, you know, part of our way of saying things. You know. Not only that you do again and again, but maybe you can say that integrate in our life. You know, integrate in our life. And thirdly, to make us remember and mindful when we are in some difficult situations also. You know, that when we are usually not likely to think about that, not likely to remember that, not likely we are too involved in something else, you know. If we can do these three things, then we are diligent, you know. We are diligently working. Also, diligence can be from the opposite side. Opposite side of laziness. To work on three types of laziness. First type of laziness is that I don't want to do it. That you know very clearly. I don't know whether you know or not. I know. You know. I don't really know how lazy or not lazy English people are. How much lazy?
Depends.
Huh?
Depends on what the activity is. I think it depends on what the activity is. Like a lot of people for football, they probably get up in the middle.
Yeah, that of course, that's hobby. Hobby and sports. That everybody is not lazy. That's another thing. Things that you have to do that you not necessarily want to do. Usually German people are supposed to be more, but it's changing now. Since last year. Before, in Germany, trains never went late. If it is 3 minutes late, there is an announcement. Oh, the train is late for 3 minutes. And then everybody, it's late, This year, it can be late for half an hour, no problem. 1 hour, sometimes cancelled. Germany has become India now. And they try to blame each other. They say, oh, it's just Berlin people like that. I think it's late in Cologne also. Anyway, that's another point. The English people, I don't know. I've been to England for last 32 years, 30 years, at least 30 years. And I don't know how lazy they are. Anyway, that's not the point. The second laziness, which is very important, is, this not just kind of, what is it called? Not just not doing it now, but what is it?
Procrastination.
No, that's the first one.
Resistance.
Huh?
Resistance.
What?
Resistance. Resistance. So you resist.
No, it's not that. I forgot now. What was the second one? I always talk about these things.
Self-confidence.
Huh?
Lack of self-confidence.
That's the third one.
That's the third one.
That's usually the third one. What's the second one? Anyway, there's something third, second. Huh?
Too busy.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's it. Yes. Second is, you don't know how to prioritize. You are very busy with lots of not so important things. That's also laziness. That's called laziness. Another kind of laziness. You don't know how to put the priorities in the right way and become very busy. You have no time for doing useful things. That's another laziness. And then third is, I cannot do it. It's too hard, or it's too difficult, or I cannot do it. So, because if you say that I cannot do it, then of course I cannot do it, because I wouldn't do it. Yeah, that's called a laziness. That's another laziness, and this laziness is very, very bad laziness. Because you don't allow yourself, give the opportunity to try. So this kind of, then trying to get rid of these three laziness is diligence. Yeah. So sometimes you think that, enlightenment, that's too high, too difficult, too kind of far away. How can I do that? Then of course you wouldn't understand. You wouldn't know things like that. And then the fourth is gava, joy. Now this is, sometimes it is part of the diligence also. But, when you are, diligence is also sometimes called, in Buddhist terms, diligence is called joy in doing positive things. That's diligence. You have joy in doing positive. Not just pushing yourself hard, but become very, motivated. You become very motivated, very enthusiastic in understanding the value of doing that. Then you become motivated and you have a joy. You do it joyfully. That's like football. If you like football, then you are there when it's raining or snowing or storm or 20 degrees below zero, whatever. Yeah? And you don't even feel the cold, yeah, or tired or anything like that. That's joy. Yeah? That's diligence also. But joy is, when you are able to understand something, and especially, really see things clearly, then you have certain sense of satisfaction, a certain sense of, fulfillment, certain sense of kind of, what can you say? Certain sense of that you are you're satisfied, satisfaction, and this is it comes from the truth. When you understand and experience the truth, when you understand that this understanding and experience will liberate me from lots of problems and sufferings and pain, and it will really give me a tool to not only help myself but help everybody else. Then there's this really great sense of satisfaction and joy, you know. It is said that when people start to have that understanding of the true nature of things, they feel so joyful, they feel so satisfied and joyful that it cannot be compared with any kind of, any other worldly joys, they say, you know, entertainment or enjoyment or anything like that. Because it's something which is completely, you know, liberating. And that's why this first bhumi, which is the result of the insight, is called Raptugawa. Raptugawa means completely joyful, you know, extremely joyful. Because it's like, you know, now I have finally learned how to be free from anything, you know. I finally understood how things really are. So I don't need to be engaged in the samsaric cycle, you know, something like that experience. So then the joy. The joy comes from deep within ourselves. It's not because this happened or that happened. You know, usually when we usually think about happy, you know, I will be happy because if I have this, I'll be happy because I have that, you know. I was in Finland recently, and Finland is judged as the happiest country in the world now. And I asked them, you know, why are you really very happy? I said, well, personally, nothing specially. Then why you are called the happiest in the world, you know? Well, we have lots of good, you know, we have a good system. Mm-hmm. You know, nowadays, you know, that's I think the, you know, if you are earning enough money, if your health system is good, if your, you know, retirement and all kind of education and all these facilities are good, then you are supposed to be happy. But in Finland, the rate of suicide is very high. You know. So all of them are not that really happy, especially on kind of, but I don't know. Not that kind of happiness, I think. You know, here it is more different. It's inner happiness. You know. Joy. So these four, and then other three. Other three I will explain tomorrow. But these are, you know, Shendu Zhangwa, Xinjiang, Dingyenzin, and Dongyang. Shendu Zhangwa is here it's translated as plain sea. Plain sea? Huh? Is it how I pronounce? Plain sea? Somebody who has really kind of trained and become, you know, like a perfect. Isn't that?
Fluency?
Huh?
Fluency?
Not fluency, plain sea. That's how it is written here. P-L-I-A-N-C-Y, plaincy. Plaincy? Huh? Is it? Like physically also and mentally also, you become very trained. It means actually very trained, fully trained, completely trained. Hindu Zhangba means that, actually, fully trained. And then second is meditation, and third is Tongyam. Tongyam is equanimity. So these three I will discuss tomorrow. But today, now we discuss. I don't know if you have anything to discuss. What is this? What is the time? Yes, I think it's time. Anyway, it says 3 hours. Can't be. Huh? Yes, question please. It's really strange. Anyway. Yes?
Yeah, you talked about in the second point about everything we can think about.
Uh-huh.
You talked about everything that we can think about.
Oh, maybe you should use this because I can't hear.
Yeah, but in the second element, you talked about things, everything that can exist, and it can also include everything that doesn't exist. But is that really more a case of having an awareness of what can exist and what cannot exist? Because you said about the horns of the rabbit, which can't really exist, or is not in this world. But is it possible that when you include things that don't exist, is it being mindful of what cannot exist? So if something cannot exist, it's knowing the causes and conditions that give rise that have to exist for something to exist. And if something cannot exist, it's because they cannot be the causes and the conditions for it. So when you said everything that we can think about, including things that can't exist, does it mean having the awareness of what can exist and what cannot exist? That makes sense.
The main thing is to discerning, to try to understand how things are, how I am, what I am, what the nature of things are. That's the main thing. Now that how that is, then I think first you have to from Buddhist point of view, it's something that we need to start to look at ourselves, how things are. And it has to be, of course there are many philosophies, and even among Buddhists there are many different philosophies. You don't have to accept any one of them, or any of them, or all of them. All these discussions in the texts, in the sutras, is to give us a kind of a direction that we ask questions and try to find out. It's not something that we have to accept it and then say it's like that because somebody said like that. This, I think, is the first thing from Buddhist point of view important. That we need to really look clearly ourselves, and that's why discernment. We discern, we ask questions, we ask. And there is no taboo question. You know, you can ask any question. You don't have to be politically correct. Yeah, at least among Buddhists. Because then you cannot ask questions, not really completely. So you really can ask any questions and then look at it and look at, kind of deeply. And of course, you also listen. That's why, we talk about how to generate wisdom. We talk about 3 ways: listening, investigation, and meditation. First is listening. Is like, it's not just, somebody, you read some important, like classical texts, or somebody, explaining some instructions or some philosophy, and then you just kind of you don't want to really understand what he or she is saying, but just criticize right from the beginning. That's not the idea. First you listen carefully and fully and completely, and understand what they are saying. And once you understood, then you start to ask questions. Second, investigation. Then you ask any question. Harder the question, the better it is. More difficult the question, the better it is. So you ask questions, and ask questions yourself, I question them, and look from every side and every way, and then, then come to a kind of understanding as much as possible. And of course, in the Madhyamika philosophy, then, coming to any conclusion or conceptual conclusion is regarded as an kind of extreme. Therefore, it's not good, not totally correct, because you just you come to grasp at some kind of a concept, and then you need to go to meditation, because in meditation you have to learn to go beyond this conceptual grasping. So therefore, if you can go beyond the conceptual grasping, but direct experience, then you have the experience, then you have the view. So therefore, it's called listening, reflection, and meditation. And then meditation is that kind of meditation, not just becoming acquainted with that, but to understand, to learn to experience without having to grasp at a concept. So this is the one recommendation. But then, this is that discernment. Yeah.
Hello. I think probably all of us have activities or tasks or jobs that we might not like to do. How can we find joy still in those moments?
Now, I think it's like this. when we're talking about joy here, that is when you, as I said before, actually, when you see that what you are trying to understand and what you are trying to get at, or what you are having some idea that is very valuable, very useful, very satisfactory, then the joy naturally comes, Joy naturally comes. We are talking about that. It is not, if you have to say, I'm not joyful, but I have to be joyful, then you can't be joyful. Yeah? Then it's not joyful. Then you are kind of, then it's another thing. Yeah? Yeah. Sometimes we can, we can encourage ourselves. You say, if you are a student, and then you have to study for an examination, and you don't want to do that. But then you think that, if I really pass this exam with good marks, then what good things you will, how happy you will be then, or how everybody will be happy, and how, you think you will become much more, easy for going forward in your life and things like that. And if you really see the connection with that, then you might become more motivated with that. So if you become motivated, then you are more joyful in doing that. No? So this is one way, but this is what, this kind of joyful what we're talking about is like that. But this is a little bit related also, I think. If you understand the value, the necessity, the positive things, or how much it can benefit you, how much it can benefit others, how much problems it can solve. If you see this, then you become more joyful or motivated. No, that is one way of doing it. But the real joy has to come from within yourself. Because if I'm doing something that I know is something really good and useful and beneficial, then usually you don't feel too tired, no? And you feel happy, you feel encouraged, you feel good. Yeah, that's joy. Not necessarily excited, but meaningful. Yes.
It strikes me that kind of joy is the same joy that we talk about in the four immeasurables, the third of the four immeasurables. It's sometimes translated as sublime bliss. It's unconditional. Is that right? It doesn't. Untasteable, when there's no suffering, then this is the actual state. Is that right?
No, that joy is a little bit different. That is not joy, but rejoice. Yeah? That is rejoice. Rejoice means that if somebody is doing something good, have achieved something, is has attained something, is having something nice, then instead of feeling jealousy or envy or feeling bad, you feel happy yourself. This is rejoice. This is not, of course, rejoicing also gives you joy, but it is more rejoice. Yeah.
Do you have any specific techniques to remind yourself, as you say, like as part of diligence, that it's so easy to forget. So when we're going through our daily lives and we're not, we're not on the cushion and we're not sort of studying teachings, and we're interacting with the world and we're doing our work or we're studying for an exam, how can we remind ourselves when we're immersed in something else?
I think, maybe it's also a habit, that, what am I doing? What is going on? You become, you make it a habit to become aware of what is going on, yeah? Because if I don't, then you cannot function, you want to go somewhere you need to go to, you need to get up, say like, I don't know, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever. And then, you oversleep. Or you are awake, but you kind of don't want to get up. No? So you have to remind yourself, you have to, now, what time is it? It's already this much. And so therefore, I should be at this moment getting up, doing my washing, having breakfast, and doing this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to function in the life, no? So in the life to function, I need to be aware, I need to be aware. I need to be, mindful of what's going on. In the same way, what I'm talking, what I'm saying, what I'm doing, I'm doing something that is, very stupid or something, not nice or it's harmful to everybody around me, then it's not good. Or I'm saying something that's totally rubbish and, everybody will be laughing or what do you call it? Like this, crony. Everybody says, what is that? Crony? No. Huh? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so then you don't like that, it's not good. So therefore you need to be a little bit mindful what's going on and what am I doing and what I'm not doing. Am I wearing my dress inside out or my shirt upside down or something like that? It happens, So, and also your mind, because your mind is sometimes very, very funny, It does things. So if you are a little bit aware and mindful about this, then you will be much more, good, useful, and what can you say? It's much more nicer, the things will go better if you. So therefore, we need to make it a habit to a little bit see again and again where I am, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, because you have to know what to say, but you need to know what not to say also, no? So if I'm speaking like this, and then if I didn't know what not to say, half of you would have gone by now. Yeah? So therefore, lots of things like that. We all have to learn how to act. So just to make if you learn this, we all have learned, then we can function. We can function in the world. If we don't learn that, then we cannot function. Yeah.
Thank you, Rinpoche. I have I'd love to seek for some advice on practicing. So some time ago, I had about half a year that I felt I was watching thoughts coming, staying, and going, and my life seemed like in slow motion. And I could very much resonate with what you were saying about joy coming inside. Then my life circumstances changed. I have a child, I changed to a much busier job. And now I felt I am much more in the head than in the experience. Partially also because I work as an internal coach in an organization, and I work with a lot of people who are very, very cognitive in the head. So I love to seek some advice in, like, how do I discern that my state of mind is coming from the experience or coming from my head? Just, well, because I experienced something like that in the past, I sort of felt I know what's going on, but not sure whether I'm being cognitive and coming from the head. Yeah, thank you.
Usually, coming from head is very, intellectual,
Yes.
Coming from heart is experiential, that you really feel like that. You really feel like that. Coming from head is something you must have read or something you have, seen somewhere, or something that somebody said, you remember, and this, yeah? I usually feel, I can't say, I don't know whether it's really always like that, but when I say something from my heart, everybody listens. And when I say something from my head, nobody listens. I can see it almost immediately, because if I say from my heart, that means I really feel it, and from my own, I feel it experientially, or then I say it. If I say it from here, it's something that I have memorized, or something that I've heard and say it. So therefore, there's a big difference, I think. Yeah. So you will know. Actually, I think you will know more from other people's reaction. Yeah.
Perhaps a follow-up question is, now I actually work with a lot of leaders in organization who are very much just in their heads, and this somehow also prompt my approach to try to connect with them from the head, sometimes using neuroscience and just explain the theory. But I do feel not sure, because as you mentioned,
Yeah.
from the head is sort of just talking.
But I think, if you are giving information, to the people, then it is mostly from the head. Yeah? Because information is information, yeah? That's from the head,
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you. Yes, maybe last? Yeah.
Thank you, Rinpoche, for your teachings. Rinpoche mentioned something about Madhyamika philosophy. And actually, I was reading a book called Dzogchen and Bodhicitta, and they pointed out to Nagarjuna text, Madhyamika, saying how to analyze so-called reality. And Rinpoche mentioned in your teaching today about analyzing and scrutinizing our reality. So I started to reading this book, which is in English called Fundamentals of the Middle Way. And I was absolutely confused what Nagarjuna mentioned mentioned there. And I'm wondering how to approach this kind of texts at all, because they meant to be logical, but at the moment I can't really follow what is said there at all, if that makes sense.
I think you should read something more simple. Yeah. I have the same problem. You are the Some of the things can be very complicated and very, but I usually try to go in 3 steps. That is a little bit easier, and that is like from first I say, everything is interdependent. No, impermanent. Is it impermanent? Things are impermanent. No, things change. Yeah, that is not so difficult to understand. So second, they're impermanent. Why? Because everything you look at, it's made of many elements, many causes, many conditions. It's not one. Yeah? So therefore, it has to change. It changes. And therefore, this made of so many things means it's not just this one, but this is, this has earth element, this has, water element, fire element, air element, every other element, and many, particles in it, yeah? So that's why. And so therefore these particles in it and these particles outside, they interact, yeah? Everything I cannot survive now without the air that is there, yeah? If I can't breathe oxygen, I don't know how long I will survive. If there is no heat in here, how long I will survive. Yeah. If there is no water in my body, or how long I will survive. So I am totally dependent on everything else. Yeah. So where I am, independent. I'm not an independent thing. I'm an interdependent thing. Yeah? I'm totally independent, interdependent, dependent. And not only dependent, but also I'm here in a relatively there. When I weigh myself, I'm almost 90 kilos. So do I really weigh 90 kilos? If I was in moon, maybe I would weigh only like I don't know, they seem to float, yeah? So I weigh 90 kilos, not because I weigh 90 kilos, but because of all the gravity and everything else, no? So it's relatively like that, isn't it? So in this way, everything is like that. Everything is. So that's. But in the book of philosophy, you will find different reasons, because that's the main problem, that different philosophers, so many philosophers in India have all kind of philosophies, and so it's kind of using those philosophers' discussions, and that's why it becomes so difficult. Yeah. And there is kind of answering to all these philosophers that was before them. And that makes it very complicated, because first you have to learn all their philosophies, and then you have to reject their philosophies. And that makes it very complicated. Yeah? And also we talk about, the reasons. Anyway, that's, you read something simple first. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Samye Dzong London.